And here comes Joe.
Oh, good. I hope Joey's feeling better.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey,
Hello.
you
Oh,
feeling any better, buddy?
Eh, meh.
I think-
Still hurt.
Oh, is this your back?
Uh, Body.
Mm.
Have you tried yin yoga, Joe?
Not sure which one that one is.
So yin is, you could do an hour and a half class and you end up only doing half a dozen movements because you're in a pose for so long it stretches out the fascia, and that's really where flexibility comes from, not from the muscles. So you're in a pose for like up to 5 minutes. So you get in there, you get comfortable. So you're not trying to strain your body, but your body
Hmm.
just you're allowing your body to stretch by giving it 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to actually be in that position to create the opening of the fascia. And I was thinking about you today as I was doing a bit of that myself.
And some of my stretches are held for periods of time like that, but not all of them. I do have my restrictions, like with my knees. If I'm going to be in a squat-like position, it's very difficult to maintain for the 4 minute, 5 minute mark.
Yeah, so there's no squatting and everything is supported. So if you're going to do a twist, you make sure that you have cushions and props available so that your body's not trying to stretch. You're just allowing it to open up, and it's quite it requires a lot of patience to be there for like 5 minutes. And the longer you're sitting there, and the body's kind of little bit of release at a time. Um, so it's quite interesting. It doesn't cause any pain as such. So
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
yeah, YIN is how you spell it. Yin yoga.
Cool. Uh, Good news though is I seen my chiropractor twice the other day, and it felt like my one vertebrae slipped at least a half inch back into place.
Oh, yay.
But then the car ride home fell back out.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
yeah.
So I mean that's progress, right? The muscles
Mhm.
Joe,
relax, so at least allow it to
have
move.
Yeah.
have you looked up what the psychoemotional component is of of that vertebrae? And have
Hmm.
you done the TMRT process on every or on most of the times that you felt that emotion?
Oh, like we discussed, if it was something that was still resonating or something from the past, then most of it is not resonating anymore. Yeah,
It
Callie
goes.
and I, we tried doing some TMRT the other day, well, almost like a week and a half ago or so now. And yeah, like I said last call, the tools that I have just aren't helping. I don't know what's going on.
I'm just going to
Maybe.
suggest, just because it came up in my head, Joe, that there is something that you haven't gotten to yet. Like it is, if you handle the emotions around those vertebrae, the vertebrae always begins to link back. So it always realigns. So something, some event from your past is still in operation, or it wouldn't linger this long. There's some event that you're not getting yet. Doesn't mean you won't, but you just haven't gotten to it yet. But I would not take out of the equation the TMRT process yet, and I would continue to be really curious about what other event holding those emotions or the emotions behind the obvious ones have you
Well,
not yet found yet.
I'm to the point where I'm wondering if it's the literal event that happened when I was 19 that created this to be a consistent occurrence.
It's highly possible, but it does have a psychological, emotional component to it. I can feel it in my bones. I feel it in my gut. I don't know what it is though, but I'd be still remain curious about it, Joe,
Oh, of
because there's
course.
nothing worse than back pain. There's just nothing worse than that.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's hard to touch the toes when when you can't bend over.
I remember I had to crawl to the toilet, and the most torturous thing in the world for me was try to sit on a toilet when my back was out, and it was out for a year.
Yep.
Oh,
It was
Well,
awful.
this, not trying to own it or claim it, but this is like a once every 3 months thing where it just goes out. And that's why I'm not struggling to try and figure out what the emotional component is because with all
It'll
that
go
I've
back.
done thus far, like I don't know how many more layers there could be. I'm not resonating with nothing. I mean, just looking at the book now, nothing's really jumping out as in, oh yeah, that's still happening or that's still going on. It's just, yeah, don't know.
Well, we love you. This is always a place you come to get the vibration of love and caring. So,
Oh,
um,
for sure.
so
Hmm. How did everyone go with their weekly lessons?
pretty good.
Good.
where are we,
Yeah.
V?
Oh, we're up to, if you got the actual physical book, it's page
I do.
154.
154?
Yeah.
Okay.
The body as a means of communication.
Oh, yes.
And it is funny we would be on that one.
Yeah, funny.
No, I think you're just embodying our lessons from this section. Taking it
Very
all
true.
on for us. You don't have to do that, buddy. Mine, I feel like I'm not challenging myself anymore. Remind each other of our greatness. Remove the blocks to guarantee help and healing. And I can't think of a single conversation where I didn't have that in my head.
That's awesome, V.
Hmm.
That's awesome. I was focused on mine, which is of course not doing any attack with my thoughts, not judging, not oh, and when I did do it, I would catch myself and go, oh, I'm harming myself. So that was good. So it was a good week. A good week.
Excellent. Anybody else want to share?
I think
Mine
so.
was, oh, sorry, I
Yep.
can't see.
Yep, go.
Mine was the Holy Spirit is in communion with my body. And I didn't really focus on it, but then I noticed yesterday how it subtly showed up and activated my whole week anyway. So, yeah, even down to me channeling writing yesterday. So my body was the communicator from the Holy Spirit.
Lovely. Coralie?
Mine was communication in separation. And where it first sort of was a thing for me was actually walking in this nature bit where I walk, and lots of people are there with their dogs, and they're meant to be on leads for most of it, but they're not. And so I'm be very judgy about that, but I decided to just say hello to the dogs. And it mostly was quite good, actually.
That's cool.
Awesome.
May I add something, even though I wasn't here? I'm just reading through.
Please.
What stands out to me is number 11, the removal of blocks, then, is the only way to guarantee help and healing.
Mm.
And I think I'm a visible proof of that because I don't feel like I felt 6 months ago. So, removal of blocks again and again, and layers and layers and layers. And there's still more layers. But I'm fortunately very stubborn and persistent. So I'm not giving up.
Persistent.
Thank you. That's much more graceful. Yeah, that looks nicer on a pen, right? I'm persistent instead of I'm stubborn.
I oftentimes think, Andrea, what else is there to do here? You know, other
Yeah.
than,
Yes.
just slow, gentle unraveling of our own selves and the history that we've made, coming to peace with the conclusions and dreams and beliefs that we have formed, and writing them to be more in alignment with a spiritual path. I don't think there's much else to do
To
here.
love them. Yeah, and to love and everything else. It's
Yep.
fleeting. It doesn't mean a lot, does it?
Nope.
Wow. Hmm.
Lady Linda, can you speak, or are you
I
out the
sure can.
garden? Oh, good.
So I'm still going to go back to the one that I had a couple of weeks ago. Be in the present. Truth can only be experienced, but I'm just not getting it. I'm really not getting it. And when I've been thinking about it this morning, I thought, well, no, I'm not getting it. So I will stick with that one.
So, Linda, just out of curiosity, um, to help us all, what is it that you're not getting about that statement? Where are your struggles with that?
Well, being in the present is not so bad, although I'm not in the present as much as I was, because there's just so much going on. You know, there's always somewhere to go, people to see, places to visit, etc. But with the truth can only be experienced. Yeah, I don't think I've quite got my head around it. I really thought that I had that first week, although I wanted to hang on to that one because I knew that I was lacking there somewhere. But this week, when I think about it, it's like, no, I just don't get it. I can't, I've got a mental block about it, and I'm just not sure why.
Hmm. I immediately want to go into coaching, but I'm not going to.
I feel like
Oh, don't be so
Linda,
selfish.
Linda, if that was me, I would let that one go, because if it's not resonating, then something. If for me, if I held on to that, I
Choose
feel like
again.
I would be missing out on something else because I'm holding on too tight to something
Yeah.
that isn't working. That's just what I would do.
Yeah, it's a good point. I guess I'll just put my video back on. I guess that I don't want to be defeated by it, and that's why I'm trying to hang on to it. Because unless I have some kind of a understanding of it, how am I moving forward with it? How can I move forward with it?
I'll tell you what I found, Linda, is that the course speaks to us at different points in time when we read it. So if it's not resonating now, then there's something else that your mind needs to focus on um, that will be quite appropriate for where you are right now. This isn't like I'll do this lesson, and this lesson's mastery is based on what I'm going to learn in the next lesson. It's quite different. I've read things that I know I've read at least 15 times, and I think I've never heard that before because I couldn't hear it at that time. So this just may be one of those times where wherever you're at spiritually, you just can't hear it. But there'll come a time where you can. But the future lessons are not dependent upon the mastery of this one.
Well, I guess the other way that I looked at it as well is that maybe it's something that I already do understand, and now I'm trying to dig too deep into it. So, yeah.
Well, I'll take that one. That sounds very evolved and smart. Let's just claim that one as true, Linda. That's what I say.
Fair enough. I'll take that
Okay,
too.
cool.
And moving forward.
Joe, did you have one from last week? Okay.
I think I kept the previous week one, communication and separation, attack promotes it. But again, I didn't really get out much to put things to use. But I also have what Linda had said, truth can only be experienced. So I'm not sure which one I actually did.
Fair enough. Well, shall we start reading? Where is my Kindle? Kindle's shut down again. You can see all my reading there. Right, we're on to number 13. Gary, you going to start us?
I can. The opposite of joy is depression. When your learning promotes depression instead of joy, you cannot be listening to God's joyous teacher and learning his lessons. To see a body as anything except a means of communication is to limit your mind and to hurt yourself. Health is therefore nothing more than united purpose. If the body is brought under the purpose of the mind, it becomes whole because the mind's purpose is one. Attack can only be an assumed purpose of the body because apart from the mind, the body has no purpose at all.
Oh, apart from the mind, the body has no purpose at all.
Yeah, that's because we think we're our bodies like that makes me feel that kind of is fearful to me actually when I read that.
It's very strange.
Oh, my body means nothing. Um, but yeah,
Has no purpose.
And
Health
it
is
ties
there.
in with, is it last week we were talking about the body as a messenger?
yep. Well, there's a very interesting line here where it says, health is therefore nothing more than
Yeah.
united purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
It's simple.
Very.
But the sentence, attack can only be an assumed purpose of the body, because apart from the mind, the body has no purpose at all. But that the first part of that sentence, attack can only be an assumed purpose of the body, is that as far as going back to the joy and depression?
Don't know if that goes back to that.
So what is
Attack
the
only be assumed can only be an assumed purpose of the body because apart from the body has no purpose at all. Yikes. You know, probably 14 is going to answer it for us.
probably?
My vote is let's go to 14 and see if we can get some clarity because that one's
Okay.
kind of got me stumped.
I vote for Adria to read number 14.
Okay. You are not limited by the body, and thought cannot be made flesh. Yet mind can be manifested through the body if it goes beyond it and does not interpret it as limitation. Whenever you see another as limited to or by the body, you are imposing this limit on yourself. Are you willing to accept this when your whole purpose for learning should be to escape from limitations? To conceive of the body as a means of attack
and to believe that joy could possibly result is a clear-cut indication of a poor learner. He has accepted a learning goal in obvious contradiction to the unified purpose of the curriculum, and one that is interfering with his ability to accept its purpose as his own. Whew,
Yeah.
makes my head spin.
Well, that didn't help us understand 13
No.
any better.
At all. It made it worse, Gary.
Audrey,
This
would you
spider web.
reread that paragraph? Does everybody mind? Does anyone mind if Audrey rereads that?
No, not at all.
You are not limited by the body, and thought cannot be made flesh. Yet mind can be manifested through the body if it goes beyond it and does not interpret it as limitation.
Okay.
Whenever you see another as limited to or by the body, you are imposing this limit on yourself. Are you willing to accept this? When your whole purpose for learning should be to escape from limitations. To conceive of the body as a means of attack and to believe that joy could possibly result is a clear-cut indication of a poor learner. He has accepted a learning goal in obvious contradiction to the unified purpose of the curriculum, and one that is interfering with his ability to accept its purpose as his own.
Mm.
That gave me a little bit more clarity. How about the rest of you? Did it give you some more clarity?
Yeah.
The one line. Go ahead.
About attack. How do you see attack?
Judgment of another, condemnation of another.
I was thinking of that too, Coralie, because that seems to be the kind of hitch with the previous paragraph. And I feel like the sentence in here, whenever you see another as limited to or by the body, you are imposing this limit on yourself, and even that is attack. When you see another as limited, that is attack.
Yeah.
And it's also attacking yourself. It's self-sabotaging, because you can't, as Gary says, your subconscious mind doesn't read what you tell about other people as other people. It reads it as yourself. So if you see a limit in someone else, that's also your own limit.
This goes perfectly with my weekly lesson. If you use the body for attack, it is harmful for you.
Mm.
Because as we judge another, limit another, put someone in a box of our own, whatever we've assumed about them, we can only see through the filters of our own experience. Therefore, it is a transference, it is a projection of our own life experiences. And that is then self-judgment, because we're only judging what we would be doing if we were acting in our interpretation like they were acting. So whatever condemnation we wield towards another is the reflection of who we are. We wouldn't be able to recognize it if we didn't do it. That's always a bugaboo about that. So if you can really define that you really think this person's X, Y, and Z, you know it's you, because you can't see anything you're not.
Yeah, I love that, because my body right now is giving me messages, but it's messages of either separation or as you said, I'm deceiving myself from other people's body expression, from that's theirs, not mine. And so even though this paragraph says our body is limited, it is limited, but when we listen to the messages, it awakens our connection to Holy Spirit, which guides our mission on earth. So my body is useful for that reason, because it's showing me the messages and I'm choosing whether to awaken in this moment and hear them and action them, or go back to sleep and continue the pain point, or continue to disconnect and use someone else outside of me as the blame for the pain point.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love this one line from, I forget who I studied with that gave me this perception. It's probably Robert Tennyson Stevens. And he said the body is a biocomputer of the subconscious mind. It is the holder, it's the flesh made manifest from the thoughts and the emotional states. And so whatever is happening in the body is a reflection of what's happening in the mental body and the emotional body. And therefore, whatever imbalances show up is based upon one of those factors. And I would almost assume as well, because we are a collection of I think every lifetime we live is a collection of every lifetime we've ever lived, meaning that all the things we've experienced, all the wisdom, all the heartache, all of the dysfunction and self-sabotage has been carried through lifetimes and is all manifested now. So if we heal it truly now, we sort of heal it all the way back in time. And that is also true for ancestry. And for all we know, there's so much playing out in the matrix that, we are also the subtotal of every thought our ancestors ever thought, and all their own issues as well. So we really are the pivotal point in time that is a reflection of all of our experiences and all of our ancestors' influence from both our mother's timeline and our father's timeline. And how could we not struggle here knowing that? How could we not? But when we become aware that all that's possible, then when we make changes and shifts, there's a reverberating effect all the way back in time, and I believe all the way out into the future. This is why I think that all of us doing this kind of work is not only important for this moment in time, but important for generations behind us and generations before us. I don't know where all that just came from, but that's what burst into my head. You're muted, V.
There's someone's chopping down trees, so I thought I'd better mute myself. And how dare they?
How dare
I just had an image as you were speaking. So yes, there's all this baggage that we bring from all our ancestry in the past. And maybe we can't unlock all the strengths that our ancestry actually carries as well until we sort out the messages of the pain from the actual strength that we can bring forward from them.
Yep. Yep. I mean, gee, I just had this thought, those of you that know TMRT, this would be interesting. This is what just burst into my head. That's why I thought I'd share it with you guys. I don't have I don't even know the names of my grandparents. I have no idea about my ancestry at all. Nothing. Not even names. So I don't even have pictures. But if you guys have pictures of your ancestors, this would be a trippy thing to do. Think of them and whatever impressions you get, visualize them from a photograph, and do the TMRT process on their energetic imprint in a photo. Visualize them, pour all of your resources into that image. And I just wonder what would happen.
Wow.
I've never tried that before because I don't have any visual imagery of my grandparents, but that would be interesting.
So, Gary,
could,
would that then be changing the structure that I'm living from in the moment that is
I
linked
don't,
to my lineage by then putting the resources into that image of the energetic system, basically the combination, and then I'm changing the structure from then to now. So I've linked a new structure from then to now, like a linking of energetic structure. That is the change I want now by
I
putting
think it's
those
possible,
resources.
Callie, but there's no way to know that until it's done.
I'm going to have a go of that when we hang
Have
up,
a go.
and I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know, because I thought that idea was pretty trippy.
Well,
So
it
I've
makes
never
sort of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, makes sense to me. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that. They all look
Ah.
Aboriginal.
This is my grandmother, my mother's mother, my mother, her sister, and a little brother that died.
I
That's
would totally do the
Garawe.
TMRT. I'd do the TMRT on that photograph. That would be ridiculously interesting.
Let's see what
Mm.
happens. Okay.
Yes, report back.
If I have two heads next week, it'll be your fault.
I
You might
see
have
you're
two
up for
minds
the
in the
risk.
body.
Because think about it. I don't know about you guys, but my parents had really hard lives and they suffered
Yes.
a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And and did well with what they had, but they came from such wounded stock. And I'm thinking maybe I could just do the TMRT process on my mother and my father, and that may be interesting.
Mm.
Okay.
Could you do that also on your child self, a picture of yourself as a child?
I would give it a go.
Yeah. I'm just thinking
I'd
of
give it a
Joe
go.
with his pain point and
Yeah.
then doing it
Boy,
on his
that's
child
fascinating.
self when he didn't have a pain point, potentially
Yeah.
physicalized, and then linking that outcome of the structure energetically.
Yeah. So, Joe, I'm going to talk about you like you're not here, or else I'll launch
Sorry,
into a
Joe.
criminal discussion. But I'm thinking that that the back has something to do with your mother and father, the unhealed issues around your mom and dad. I have no idea what that would be, but I just got this hit that there's some stuff there. And if you did the TMRT process on the physical image of your mother and your father, I think there may be some changes that would happen for you. So that would be a really simple process to do, not heavy lifting at all. And try that out, Joe, and report back.
I'll have to see if I can find a picture of my mother, but I know I've got one of my father. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that too, because most of my pain points are actually very similar to my mum's pain points, and they don't make sense in my body. Like my mum had severe scoliosis, and I end up with the pain that she had, and I don't have scoliosis.
I have my mother died of some very extreme aggressive cancer that no one, even Stanford Cancer Institute had never seen before. They have no idea what it was. And it started as a nodule on her left scapula between her shoulder blade and her spine. And in that exact spot, I have what I call my lizard spot. And Robert is my constant back scratcher. That area of my back will itch so bad that this little puppy is my lifesaver. I have to travel with it because of my lizard spot. And Robert is constantly sticking his hand at the back of my shirt and scratching away. I go, "Would you get my lizard spot, please?" And he goes, and it's the exact spot where my mother had her cancerous tumor. So
Mm.
weird how our bodies are reflections of what our parents carried. It's not cancer, it's just a horrible itch all the time. I think to remind me of her.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Very.
We'll have something all to report back on next week, I think.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
that a go. Right. Who wants to read number 15?
Carly looks like she's biting at the bit.
Yeah. Like, joy is unified purpose, and unified purpose is only God's. When yours is unified, it is His. Believe you can interfere with His purpose and you need salvation. You have condemned yourself, but condemnation is not of God. Therefore, it is not true. No more are any of its seeming results. When you see your brother as a body, you are condemning him because you have condemned yourself. Yet if all condemnation is unreal, and it must be unreal since it is a form of attack, then it can have no results. I'll just read that last one again. Yet if all condemnation is unreal, and it must be unreal since it is a form of attack, then it can have no results.
Hmm.
No.
Hmm.
That's quite amazing for the human race. If all condemnation is unreal, it's just what an insane planet.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're so focused on things that are unreal.
Mm-hmm.
A very interesting thing happened. I wanted to say and share this with you guys because I was thinking about the political system and all of that. And normally I'm quite fired up about it. I'm not fired up anymore. Um, it's snowing outside. It's 11 degrees Fahrenheit, which means it's way below freezing. Our entire heating system for our house blew up around 10 o'clock this morning. And we had no heat. And Robert was literally, he was hyperventilating through the house. And for some reason, I said to him, it's all going to be okay. It's going to be perfectly fine. And he's like, how can you say that? And I'm like, it is. It's going to be fine. This is what happened, gang. So it blew up. We had someone miraculously come over from one of the best heating and ventilation companies around. He was here in 2 hours, got it working again. Yes, we have to replace it, but not right now. And then our tenant calls and goes, oh, I'm out of the house completely. It's totally clean. It's put back just the way you want it. You can even spend the night there tonight if you wanted to. I looked at Robert and I said, I told you it was going to be just fine. So there is something about looking ahead and going, it's all just going to work out. Like it's just going to be fine, rather than all the worry and the strife. And if we look at it from this perspective, that if we're not judging it, we're not condemning it, we're not separating ourselves apart from it. Um, and we look at it from the perspective that we're unified in God, it's all going to be just fine. It does. It does. That's all I wanted to share. There's a little minor miracle today.
Beautiful. So when we let go of all the things that that we've held on to, which has been attack in the past, and we let all that go, and we look at people like the bureaucrats that are now in charge of so many things in the United States, I don't understand them. And I don't really have any desire to. But so many people want to get stuck in the story, and they're making up all these things that they think they know about other people. And it's like, you can't know. You can't know what's going on in their head. When people think they know what's happening with, some actor or actress or the royal family or whatever, and they publish this in magazines, you can't know. You're not there. They're not talking to you. So how do you know? Why are they making up all this stuff? It's definitely not joy or unified purpose.
I have a beautiful metaphor I'll share with you guys. The master always used to say this metaphor. He would say, be in the world, but not of it. And then he'd say, be like a lotus where its flower is on top of the water, but its roots are deeply sunk into the mud of the soil at the bottom of the pond. So be here, but don't be of it, and have your focus be above rather than below. And I thought that's a beautiful metaphor to live from. And this is kind of saying the exact same thing.
Yep. Thank you. Do we need to break up number 15 anymore, or shall I read number 16?
Number 16.
Okay. I'm going to move that up a bit to a bit more. Do not allow yourself to suffer from imagined results of what is not true. Free your mind from the belief that this is possible. In its complete impossibility lies your only hope for release. But what other hope would you want? Freedom from illusions lies only in not believing them. There is no attack, but there is unlimited communication, and therefore unlimited power and wholeness. The power of wholeness is extension. Do not arrest your thought in this world, and you will open your mind to creation in God. So I don't need to understand Elon Musk then.
Pretty much.
That's good.
I love that first line. Do not allow yourself to suffer from imagined results of what is not true.
Yes. I love that.
Oh, that could very easily be my statement.
I think it's mine too.
Isn't that the definition of worry?
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe that's what the truth can only be experienced means.
Yes.
There you have it. You
There we
smart
go.
little cookie, Linda.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Perfect.
Wow. Freedom from illusions lies only in not believing them.
Where's that statement?
With that right in the middle. But what other hope would
I
you
see it.
want?
I see it. I see it. I see it. Okay, cool.
Freedom from illusions, yeah. Lies only in not believing them. Wow. Wow.
As the usual last paragraph of the section, it's just so beautiful. It is like the lotus opening.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful, yes.
No, you're right, V. It is. Do
Mm.
not arrest your thought in this world. I always remember that statement from Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force. I was in a workshop with him, and someone asked about the suffering, so much suffering in the world. He said, well, where else would souls go? They need to learn about war, that need to learn about famine, that need to learn about betrayal and racism and death and starvation. Where else would they go? They come here. And this is why this world is such a kaleidoscope of different experiences, that it's not that we turn a blind eye to it. We help for sure. But Maharaji would always say, it's like, this place is never a place where heaven will ever be, because this is a place where people come to meet out their karmic debt. And yeah, Joe, you're absolutely right. We're a learning planet. We most certainly are. So when we look around us, we just have to realize that the things I'm learning may not be the things you're learning. My life will be different. Your life will be different. It's not good or bad. It's just the progression of time and our own spiritual evolutions that bring about what we bring about. Yeah. Maybe when I'm really old and crusty, we'll all be able to look out into our lives and go, God, it was so perfect. It was so perfect. Everything about it was perfect. I would love that experience.
Mm. May we be granted such a lens.
I think it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
We keep
It
showing up
is.
here on Tuesday nights. It could be possible. How many of you get that this stuff like just recenters you again on what's
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
So good.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we dive into the body as a means or end?
Yes.
Who wants to read that one?
I'll read it if no one else will, but I don't know if everyone's read yet.
Do it. I'll do
Carly
it.
and Joe have it, but they may not be able to because their screens are off, and I think Carly's having some technical issues.
Okay, no worries.
Can't sit up, so off you go, Gary.
Oh,
I haven't heard that in so long and so perfectly Australian.
What
Off
was
you go,
that?
mate.
Off you go,
I said what
mate.
you just said was
You
so
go, mate.
beautifully Australian. Off you go. I love that. You have no idea how much I miss that. Okay, here we go. Attitudes towards the body are attitudes toward attack. The ego's definition of anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for. This is because it is incapable of true generalizations and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. It does not equate it with what it is. To the ego, the body is to attack with. Equating you with the body, it teaches that you are to attack with. The body then is not the source of its own health. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. Functions are part of being since they arise from it, but the relationship is not reciprocal.
Hmm.
The whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. Yet to know in part is to know entirely because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. In perception, the whole is built up of parts that can separate and reassemble in different constellations. But knowledge never changes, so its constellation is permanent. The idea of part/whole relationship has meaning only at the level of perception where change is possible. Otherwise, there is no difference between the part and the whole. Well, well, well.
What a
My.
little can of worms.
Yes, just like a big, fat, juicy can of worms. Okay. Should we break it down sentence by sentence until we run out of time?
Yes, it's a big
I
one.
guess.
Yeah, so attitudes toward the body are attitudes towards attack. So that must be if we see our body as separate from others and we identify as the body, then we would find that we would have to attack to protect what we think is us because we view ourselves as separate. Okay, so I think that's what that line means. Does anybody else have a different interpretation?
Attitudes toward attack.
I kind of think as well, it's like when we try to define ourselves, like I'm an accountant or I'm this or I'm that. It's like, but I'm none of those
Yeah.
things, really. Yeah. They're just
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah.
to
Fleshly
throw in.
label?
Labels, yeah.
Like a fleshly label?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you guys ever really want to trip yourself out, read E prime language. It eliminates the verb to be entirely out of your vocabulary, so you identify with nothing. You can never say, I am blank, or blank
Really?
is blank. No, never. That's completely outlawed in E prime language. So what it does is it creates wholeness rather than separation by definition in language. It's really
Mm.
interesting. I can't do it. It made me insane. Okay, the next line. The ego's definitions of anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for. Okay, the ego's definitions of anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for. Oh, okay. So, anyone want to give a crack at that? I think I get it, but does anybody else want to give a crack at that on what they think it means?
Anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for.
The ego is believing in definitions in the obvious, in definitions of the obvious, that a hand is to grasp. Is that too simplistic? And that's
Well,
how I'm
think
defining
about
it
it.
instead of.
I
So
think
is
that's
it about
part of it.
meaning making? So we're meaning making machines. So we want to make meaning for why we have a body. Why? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of me having a different perspective than my family? Or what's the purpose of having a degree? What's the purpose of being 6 foot tall?
Well, if we made it really simple and said, what is the definition of a ball? You know, like generally we describe the ball as something that's functional for sport. Like you have to have it for sport. But if we were to really define it, it would be like the rubber made from a tree that are made of molecules and atoms, and it would break it down to the molecular level. And we would eventually get to the point the ball isn't anything at all. It's just a definition of another form of molecules and atoms rotating around, or protons and neutrons rotating around the nucleus of an atom, making a form. But ultimately, everything is the same construct. But what we do, we define something towards its function, what the thing is for.
Mm.
Does that make sense? No? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we just cap it off as this is the best we can do right now, unless someone else has another thought on it. Carly, you look like you're deep in thought.
No, no, I'm not actually. I was just looking at the previous paragraph. And I'm like, do not arrest your thought in this world. So yeah, no, I was quite distracted by the end there.
No worries. Okay, we'll do the next one. This is because it is incapable of true generalizations and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. Okay, we kind of already said that. I get
Mhm.
that. It does not equate it with what
What
it
it
is.
is.
To
Huh.
the ego, the body is to attack with. So I just think that means that the ego believes that we're separate, that we are different than everybody else. And if we're different, we will have judgments, we'll equate, we'll categorize. And if we attack, we fear attack. So then we're truly separated. Okay, so equating you with the body, it teaches that you are to attack with. So if we think we're our bodies, then we think we have to protect ourselves, and our bodies, through our language, through our thoughts, is what we attack with, sometimes physically. Everybody got that? Okay.
Mhm.
So the body then is not the source of its own health. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. Ooh. So I have an idea. What would happen, do you think, if we stopped viewing the body as old or fat or young or beautiful or muscular or blubbery, any of those things? What if we stopped that definition of it? Or this is Gary and that's V. What if we just saw ourselves as this kind of oneness? And I wonder if we rose our vibration to that level, whether disease could actually live in that vibratory resonance.
Mm.
I've had direct experiences that disease, especially cancers, can't live in the vibration of love. Like it can't live in that because you can raise your vibration and feel such ecstatic love that it can't live in it. I've seen it. Okay, so then the body is not the source of its own health. Love actually is. And gratitude. Thanks for that, Kelly. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. Now, that I find really interesting. The body's condition, that means health or disease, lies solely in your interpretation of its function.
Hmm.
And it is 7:59. I
Mm.
personally think that is a really good place to stop at that one sentence. Trying to understand the body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. What if, along with our language pieces we've chosen for ourselves, what if we really thought about our health and how we would like to interpret our bodies differently to see if we can't optimize our health? I'm going to trial that one on.
Yeah. I know what my lesson's going to be for this week too. I'm going to work on my mother's pain points to show up in my body.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about with the TMRT process. I'm going to stop sharing.
I think when you see your mother as this enlightened soul that has been this transcendent messenger for you for perhaps generations upon generations, and she played this one part in this lifetime of being someone very disconnected. And then you went to this space, because I'm kind of seeing it in my head, where you have such appreciation for her playing the part she did. So you would learn the lessons that you've learned, that you are so grateful for the sacrifices she made to live like that, so you could get the lessons at a soul level. That would be a completely different interpretation
Yep.
of our families. You guys read The Littlest Soul in the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. It is an amazing book, especially when we have someone that we view as a perpetrator of pain in our lives. They actually weren't. They actually weren't. I
Right.
personally think that that book is the lesson that we learned tonight. The lesson in that book encapsulates what the message in that book is.
What was that title again?
The Littlest Soul and the Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. It's a children's book.
And it's free on Google.
Is it free on Google?
Yeah, that's where I got it first. And then I bought the book.
It has the most beautiful illustrations in it if you choose to buy the book. It's quite a book.
Well, maybe they've taken it down. It was a PDF of it because we talked about this a couple of years ago.
Years ago. Yeah.
And I
I always
found
talk about that book.
PDF. Oh, there we go. Free download.
Yeah, if you type in the title with PDF, it'll pop up a bunch of websites that seem to give it away.
Yeah, and I'll just put it into the chat for you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Anyone else got a lesson, or are we all working on the same thing?
Mine is the power of wholeness is extension.
Nice.
Mine is do not allow yourself to suffer from imagined results of what is not true.
Don't worry, be happy.
Pretty much.
Continuing on from that, and continuing on from truth can only be experienced, do not arrest your thought in this world.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's the same as yours, Gary. Do not allow yourself to suffer from imagined results of what is not true. Even though my grandmother taught me to go, ha, pauvre me, poor me.
Yeah, I used to tell classes, I said, I can hang on a cross longer, whine louder, and be a victim better than anybody in this room.
Absolutely. It comes with bloodline, absolutely.
Carly, have you shared yours?
No, but it was the same one as Adria and Gary.
Yep. Joe?
Just Gary saying about the hanging on a cross. I had a little cut on each hand the other day. I was going to Kevin, look, it's my
Well, you
Joe?
never know. So many culty people around that they just may believe it.
That's right. Oh.
Yeah.
Joe? You there?
Yeah. The power of wholeness is extension.
Awesome.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody. Good luck
Thank
with your
you.
weekly lessons. And,
Good to see you, Audra.
So
Yeah,
nice to be
good to
here
see you back.
again. Mwah.
See you all again next week.
Bye, gang.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.